we're off. Now, who's the latest domestic terrorist we got here? What's your name?
My name is Richard James. My straw man is Wooly. So I am the principal for Richard James Wooly. I ran for Bendigo West in the last state election. For the Freedom Party, actually. One of your old mates ran for the same party, I believe.
Yeah, cool. Damien.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Now, for those who've yet to learn what that is, and you think everyone will know what a straw man is, but I met someone the other day who's got an adverse reaction, he's never heard of ivermectin. So explain to people what a straw man is.
A straw man is basically a family name, or your tribe, or your clan, or whatever that is. And if you have a look at all your government, so-called government documentation, you'll find it's all in capital letters.
Yeah.
Or dog Latin, whichever way you want to look at it. One of the way they try to fool us, I guess.
Yeah.
And they've done a pretty good job of that over the last few decades.
Now, pre-COVID, were you aware of any of this stuff going on? Have you learned all this after COVID, or what were you doing before COVID?
Before COVID, I was running a horse riding school, I guess, and trimming horses for a living. And I had
trimming.
Their feet, doing their feet, like a lot of people call it.
Farrier.
A farrier without shoes. Yeah, shoes have got their place. I've had a farrier put shoes on horses of mine when they've had crooked feet, but under normal circumstances they don't need them.
Well, I've often wondered about that, because I thought, you see these Brumbies, they don't seem to be suffering by not wearing shoes, so horses actually don't need shoes?
Well, I guess if they did be born with them, wouldn't they? Either that or nature's made a terrible mistake.
How did it come about that they wear shoes then? Where'd that come from?
From what I'm aware, it originated back from the days of the castles and sieges and that sort of thing. And the castle would come under siege and the horses would be in stables and they may be there for months or whatever. And then when the adversaries went to move away and they dragged their horses out to go and chase them, horses never had any left. So some bright spark or some bright what do you call them, blacksmith, probably thought, well, if we nail a piece of steel to their feet, it's going to hold them together so you can get on and chase them. So it originated with the aristocracy, basically, and of course all the peasants saw these horses with shoes on, thought they must have been a good thing. So a bit like jewellery and that, I guess. So it's just become the norm now, but might not actually be necessary. That's right, but the horse industry as such is fairly abusive, really, and tradition is a lot of the reason horses have shoes, steel shoes, and of course when you're doing things for tradition, you're trying to impress dead, aren't you? That's right. That's a bit like bits. I'm also against bits, but and into horses like that. I saw it 2 years ago on the 6th of February at 8 p.m. I fell off my Brumby and broke my neck.
Wow.
Yes, so and I ended up in Royal Melbourne Hospital sometime within, I don't know how many, the next so many hours, but I was treated remarkably and I'm up and walking around, so I'm one of the lucky 2%.
How close were you to being a quadriplegic?
About the same as Ned Kelly without the rope.
Wow.
Yes.
So your spinal cord was damaged?
Yeah, it broke. Yeah, it fractured my what they call a Dens 2 fracture of the C2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That was a tough bastard you got through that.
Oh, that's about the second time I've been dead. So.
So you were doing that, and then COVID hit. And so how did it affect your life?
It didn't worry me too much. When I was in hospital, they were trying to stick a mask on me all the time. And I told them what they could do with that. And what I was scared of was they were going to give me a jab. And I was getting all these different needles, of course, and I didn't know what they were, but I managed to avoid that. But because of the work I was doing, well, after I broke my neck, I didn't do anything for 4 months. I was pretty helpless. So, they didn't operate. I had to wear a brace for 6 weeks.
Oh, so you naturally healed?
Yes, yeah, because at a young age like mine, they prefer not to operate. Yeah, but that was interesting because the surgeon rang me, I think 4 weeks after I'd had the operation, And she asked me how I was, and I told her, and she said, I can take the brace off now. And I said, can I? I said, how long am I supposed to have it on for? And she said, 6 weeks. And I said, I've only had it on for 4. Better put it back on, she said. I said, I haven't taken it off. But yeah, it knocked me around terribly physically, and it's taken me all this time to get back to where I was. But now I've got an old injury playing up on me. That's where I got my leg cut off years ago. So.
Are you missing a leg?
No, they put it all back together. I can show you the scars if you want to see it.
Well, how'd you do that? Horse as well?
Boating accident.
Yeah.
And I guess it was 115 horses, and it was on Lake Bullameri in Camperdown. Cut a long story short, I found a little extra bit of accelerator, and when I pushed the throttle, it cracked the hull on the boat. And I was doing about 100 kilometres an hour at the time, I think, and I shot straight out through the side of the boat, smashed all my ribs up one side, and when I hit the water, smashed all the ribs up the other side. And I was underwater for quite a while. They tell me, I won't say how long they reckon because no one will believe it, but when I came up, the boat was sinking. It was going around circles, and I managed to push away. It went over the top of me twice. I managed to push away, and the third time it come back and went over the top, and I thought, gee, that's close, and went over the top, and I thought, I could feel the wash off that prop. It must have been so close. And then when I tried to lean back and float, I pulled one leg up, and then I pulled the other leg up, and all I could see was a bone poking out the end, and I thought, oh, I think I'm in trouble here.
How'd you get out of that?
Luckily, there was a chap on shore, and he had a CFA radio, I think, and he managed to get on the ambulance really quickly. But I was out in the middle of the lake, and a boat rushed out to get me, and they couldn't pull me out of the water because I was jelly, basically. So, and they all panicked, which was interesting because I was pretty with it at the time, and I said, just tow me into shore. I said, no. So they all towed me into shore, and then they said, what do we do now? And I said, well, everybody get out of the boat. And I said, everybody get along beside me and put your arms under me and all lift me up, which they did. And so they picked me up and put me in the boat, and I couldn't breathe. And there was this huge big fella, he had a beard about this long, I think he kept kissing me. I've never been so glad to be kissed in my life, because when he stopped, I went, I want more, yeah, so I couldn't breathe, so, yeah, and a guy by the name of Blood Loving, he took his T-shirt off because they could see my wife coming down along the shore. I said, for Christ's sake, someone cover up my knee, will you? So they covered that up, she didn't get to see it, so, and then the ambulance was here really quickly, they were brilliant. And
so how long did that take to get over?
I think it took a while. I was in intensive care for three days, I think, and then I went to physio once, and I think they're all masochists there. So I only ever went once, and I went back to work. I can't remember. It was a few weeks, but then I went back to work with my leg. I think it was still in plaster when I went back to work, and because of the work.
With the horses?
No horses. Then I was sensible then. Horses.
What was your job there?
My job then, I had a welding supply business in Warrnambool. And we used to fix welding machines and that, and be up and down on your legs all the time. And that's eventually up and down all the time. It straightened itself up. It was good and didn't give me a lot of trouble up until the last few weeks. It's let me down a bit for some reason, but it's coming good again now. I don't know why. Natural healing. No drugs, no pills.
So you're a bit of a hard-to-kill fella, and then COVID comes along. I take it you weren't that too scared of it then, if you'd survived those two things?
There's no such thing. I'm fully convinced that. Ask Dr. Sam Bailey. Do you aware of Dr. Sam? Yes. So I'm into the germ theory. Yeah. No such thing as a virus.
Yeah.
I've never been big on pills and that sort of thing or anything, but and they've been wanting to give me vaccines? What's it called? Shingles. I know my doctor wanted to give me a vaccine for shingles ages ago, and I said no. I said, you know where you can stick your vaccine. So yeah. So no, I'm not a drug person. And when you look at Rockefeller and what he's done with he's basically caused what's happened now. Big Pharma. He's caused it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so what made you become sort of a freedom fighter within all that?
I guess it goes, the Constitution, our Constitution. It goes back, that's when I guess I started to become aware. My brother was always a radical and used to tell me about it, and I was off the pixies. But he used to be sometimes too. Yeah, so and there's a chap in Western Australia by the name of Wayne Glue, and I got in contact with him when I ran into trouble with some, how shall I say this, some local people, and I ended up in a court case, and I ended up actually in a court case twice. The last time I went to court and I'd been in touch with Wayne put me in touch with a chap in Melbourne who told me a little bit about it, but basically I went to court and there were nearly 60 allegations made against me.
Wow.
And the court case went for 13 months.
13 months? What, they kept delaying it or something?
Yes, it kept getting put off. My solicitor had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And he said, I can get you a barrister because it costs you $1,000 a day or something. I said, I think I'll do this myself.
Yeah.
So the last 3 times I defended myself, and I can remember the last time we were in court, and the prosecutor and the sergeant took me into a room beside the courthouse, and everybody looked at me when I was going. I thought, let's see what happens. Yeah, so we went in there, and the story when I actually said to the prosecutor, if you don't know anything about what this court case is about, I said, what are you doing prosecuting me? Yeah, so, and I noticed the magistrate, his eyes stood up a couple of times, and cut a long story short, it went on, and I was actually looking forward to the last day in court, because I would have got to cross-examine them, and every allegation they'd made against me except one, which was half true. And they said to me, what was that one? And I said, if they kept that up, I'd belt them, because they were shining the spotlight on my horses at 11 o'clock at night. And he said, is that true? And I said, yeah. And I said, and if it had been you, I said, I would have done the same. So,
you said that to the magistrate?
No, I said that to the prosecutor. Yes. But it was hilarious, because the cops they were calling on me all the time, because it did involve a police officer that was one of the ones that made the allegations against me. And the cops used to visit me all the time, you know. And I said to them one day, I said, how big do you want it? And they said, what? I said, I'm going to buy an urn. I said, you guys are here that often. Yes, and that when they'd come along and they'd say, oh, you've been accused of this and accused of that, and I'd say, yeah, righto, and so we'd go and sort it all out. They thought it was a bit of a joke in the end too.
Yeah. So, and now, where are you paced now? You're here at this gathering. You're still meeting up with freedom groups, and
all the time through. I got involved with Steve. I remember about 2.5 years ago, I think, when the freedom groups first got going, and it got going mainly because of the Constitution and because of all the hoax that they were trying to con us into. I think a lot of us, to a certain extent, haven't fitted into their system to start off with, because as far as schooling is concerned, cut a long story short, when I was born colourblind.
Okay.
Yeah, not totally, just red, green, brown colourblind. I was dyslexic and had mirror vision, so I had it all going for.
What's mirror vision?
I could read things in reverse.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's basically. So I never ever fitted into the system, and I left school when I was 15 and went to the bush, and it got to the stage later on in years that basically what was said to me, you got a qualification and you can have the job, and so I went to uni when I was 49. And
what did you become?
What did I do? Advanced Diploma of Applied Science Farm Management, Melbourne University.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I worked in agronomy there. Even before I graduated, I was hired by a company in New Zealand, so I worked there for 6 years.
Yeah.
And come back, and I guess I'm still involved in it. And always thought horse people were crazy, and now I know they are. Yeah.
And what do you think of the country at the moment and where we're heading? Because they're getting rid of cash at the moment, the ANZ. They don't seem to bother with the Constitution at all. You know,
their Constitution they do. The one Gough rewrote.
Yeah. Illegally, no referendum.
Exactly. Yes. Well, 1973. It's amazing. I thought the sun shone out of Gough's what's-her-name back in 1973, because I was about to go into the army. Then I'd spent 5 years in Citizens Military Forces and was court-martialed. So I got called up, and I was about to go in when Gough got in and said she's all over. So
To the Vietnam War.
yeah,
Yeah, wow.
yeah. And I lost a couple of mates over there. So yeah. So what do I think of Australia? I always said about that much of making Australia great, I contributed, or perhaps a bit less, I don't know. But I've seen this country slide so far downhill. What used to be Aussies is our friend over here, and most of the people here, they were real Aussies. So disappointed in watching people so anxious to dob others in, and that it's and and the perfect attitude. There's one arsehole here that lives in this town that after the demonstrations in Melbourne, when they brought out the rubber bullets, you were there.
Yeah, I was.
He put on Facebook, and I've still got it all. Pity they didn't use live rounds.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I saw those comments too.
Yes, I think I might have even sent them to you. I even got a recent photo.
There was quite a few people saying that.
Yeah, so that's a disappointment. That is, yeah.
We're coming out of a great disappointment. It's one of the things we have. And the thing moving forward now is we need bigger numbers. So we have to somehow reach out to these people and build a bridge to them to see if they'll help in the fight to get us straight.
I think there's a lot out there we don't know about, and today's a perfect example where we found that one of our groups meets in a town every week. To find out today there's another group meets in the same town a couple of doors down, same time, and they've been doing that. So there's two groups that have been going in combined. So I think we've combined probably about 5 groups now.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. And so like I said before, I ran for the seat of Bendigo West in the last election, and to try and do my bit. I couldn't get up to the demonstration with these guys, so I stuck my neck out to do that. I learned a little bit about politicians then. I put them in the arsehole category too. So, but there again, if you're going to go by the Constitution, party politics is they're traitors. So I guess when I joined the Freedom Party, I became a traitor, and I want the common law court to try me on it, and I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court.
Where do you see the hope moving forward?
Pardon?
Where do you see the hope moving forward?
Gee, that's a difficult one. I guess it gets back to what you said. It's making more people become aware. And instead of politically, they've tried to start at the top to alter it, but I think we've got to start at the bottom. And when I say start at the bottom, these local unconstitutional councils that are under the illegitimate Australia Act, that are thieving us with their so-called taxes in rates and that every year, we've got to start there.
Yeah.
That's where we've got to start.